Surviving Apocalypse episode 1. We'll talk about the weapons because the weapons are an important part of the plan you should have already in place if you are thinking about surviving apocalypse. First, what is apocalypse? In my eyes, every time when you call 911 and the system is down, you cannot reach anyone, that's it. That's the start of apocalypse. But in any case, all joking aside, in any case of the oh shit situation, whatever, I'm assuming that if you are watching this video, you would like to hear about the weapon of choice, what to use. And I will tell you right away, I usually disagree with talking heads which are advocating for the specific weapons and trying to find the reasons why these weapons are better than the other ones. In my eyes, the best weapon for that type scenario will be the weapon you have the most time with, the weapon which you are really familiar with. Why? Because during the breakdown or the system collapse, that's not the time to start training on something. Yes, it could be done, but you will be behind the curve. And we want to be ready and prepared. So, yes, I'm big AK guy, but if you feel more comfortable with the AR style weapons or SKSs or anything other, I'm perfectly fine with it and I'm not going to argue. If you have the most trigger time behind those weapons, that absolutely makes sense to stick to that weapon in a oh shit situation. I want to also address the situation when the people are talking about, well, you should have only the AR because that's a 5.56 and this is the most common cartridge and you can keep running and gunning. Guys, if you honestly think that you will be running and gunning with your rifle, then there is something wrong with you. I can guarantee you that sooner or later you're going to meet your match. The beautiful geese flying over, you're going to meet your match and someone will be a better shooter than you are, and you're going to fall down. In my eyes, in the situation like this, I want to stay away from people as far as possible, but we'll talk about it in the next episode for this series. So going back to the weapons, caliber, I would say the weapon should be ready to hunt. Hunting, in my eyes, is extremely important because at some point you may be forced to put the food on the table if you will have a table, but you may be forced to hunt with it. A lot of people are talking about the 22 rifles and they are great for the small game, you know, the squirrels and the little creatures, absolutely, that makes perfect sense, but I would not shoot at the deer with that type of the weapon. You need something bigger, so keep that in mind. Like in Midwest, there's tons of deer in the woods. You want to have the weapon capable of taking down the deer. And I'm not talking about just, wounding it and then tracking for miles, because you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your time, and you're exposing yourself to danger when you keep roaming around. So you want to knock down that animal and be done with it quickly. Another thing which is extremely important to me, I talk about it at the beginning, do not limit yourself to only one weapon family. Yes, use whatever you are most familiar with, but when you still have a time, the system didn't collapse yet, you should get familiar with other weapons, get as many of them as possible, because at some point you may have to ditch it and switch to another weapon family. So you should be really familiar with everything what the life can throw at you, and more weapon systems with more weapon systems you are familiar with, it will only benefit you, and you can only win on this. There is no losing if you know more. So that's another thing. Also, if for all the new owners, because I'm getting tons and tons of emails right now, the people that are first-time buyers, they purchase AK rifles because it is, marketed as very good survival rifle, but yet they had never ever shot with it. So if you can, and I know some of the ranges are closed right now, try to find a range which is open. Your weapon should be zeroed. You should be familiar enough to at least to load the magazine correctly to the weapon, reload the magazine, and put the round in the chamber, unload the round from the chamber, basic stuff. And that has to happen. And of course, you know, shooting safety and things like this, that should happen at the range. You cannot really expect the best from yourself if you will be in the situation when you have to pull that trigger for the first time. I can almost guarantee you that this is going to end badly for you. Now, that being said, the history books are written and full of the stories when the people are put into the corner, even without any experience or knowledge or skills, they can fight back, and they can fight back effectively. But the percentage of that is extremely low. You don't want to become the statistics. You don't want to become the number in the statistics. Be prepared, be ready, know your weapon. I don't care what is it. Know your weapon, and this goes not just for the rifles. You should be very familiar with many different pistols, and going back to that training on different weapons than you are familiar with, how important it is. I'm telling you guys, because you don't know what is waiting for you behind the corner. So if you have a time, and there is still time to prepare, when you have a time and money, don't waste it. Do it correctly. Get that experience, get that familiarization, go behind the weapon, and get that trigger time. One more thing I want to talk about. There's a lot of people talking about, we touched on it a little bit, about the caliber selection, but also about how much ammo you should have on you. In my eyes, carrying 1,000 rounds of ammo is absolutely pointless. I go back to the point, you're not going to run and gun. And if you will, then you will die quickly, because someone will be better than you are. You have to be careful. More rounds equals more weight. And this goes for the setting up the rifles. I don't care how you want to set up the rifle. This is your personal rifle. You're going to use it. If you want to have a scope or iron sights, I'm perfectly fine with it. Just remember, if you keep adding accessories to it, you're going to gain more weight. A lot of people have the experience, basic experience from the range trips. I'm telling you, it's totally different to run the rifle or a pistol in the range settings. When you shoot few magazines, you put it on the table, rest, drink some water, have fun, go change targets, shoot again, from when you have to keep carrying the equipment for miles through the difficult terrain in the hot weather or cold weather. Either way, it changes everything. There is a curve which you have to overcome. So be smart about it, what you're doing with that rifle. Be smart. I know everyone wants to be a Delta Ranger, operator from DevGru, Navy SEALs Team 6 and shit like this. That's all fine and dandy. But all that extra equipment, that's the weight to carry. And you have to account for it. So if you have never ever spent a day hiking with your equipment, do not overload yourself. I have seen this over and over again. The people put tons of equipment to their racks and they quickly, or to their kit, and they quickly realize, holy cow, I cannot move. So don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. And again, we'll address the load and what you need, in my eyes, this is my opinion only, for surviving in the woods in the next episodes. We're going to make it like a nice little series from it. Now, if you have any questions, please post underneath of that video and let me know what you think. Also, as always, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Stay in touch with AKOU. System is not collapsing yet. Do not believe the media, okay? We are still here. We are still functioning. Everything will be fine, but that doesn't mean you don't have to be ready or unprepared. Thank you for watching.